Today I want to talk about the question, should designers code? And these are my COVID vlog thoughts about it today. Thanks for letting me vent about this stuff. Let me think about, should designers code? Okay, usually this question is asked in the terms of web and whether web designers should code, but I'd like to broaden it out and think about it kind of holistically as whether an iOS engineer should learn to code or an iOS designer, etc. So my gut reaction is to say, no, not all designers should code. I don't think that's a requirement at all. I think it's in some ways, and this is a belief I've had for a long, long time, is that you kind of need both on the team. And I mean both in this way. You need a designer that has no idea about the limits of the platform that they're designing for. What this allows them to do is to be completely mentally free of any of the constraints that you believe in or that you have to deal with. And they get to go express freely because of that. And they go and they make things that are generally beautiful and surprising and new because of that. It's a liberation and it's a freedom that they have. Now, the bummer is as a developer, you inherit, this is also not a bummer. Sometimes I think this is my favorite part, but you'll get a design and you'll look at it and be like, yeah, this looks really cool, but this is going to be hard. Okay, and that's a conversation that you can have with that person. But anyway, besides that, I like a designer that can bring that to the table for two reasons. That challenges me, and I like being challenged as a front-end engineer. I like discovering new ways and new techniques for laying things out and kind of broadening my skill set. So I like it that they come to the table with something difficult because it's a challenge for me. And thing number two is that's going to be a differentiator for us. This is a way for this product or whatever it is to be visually different than something else because our designer wasn't heavily being considerate of the constraints of the platform. And so they're going to challenge the front end team. That challenge can be very healthy. So I like that side of it. Now the other side of the other type of designer, so there's a designer that has no idea of the constraints. Then there's a designer kind of like me, or designers who are very code centric and are very code aware. And they're almost the extreme opposite, where sometimes they have an issue designing because they're so considerate of the constraints, they actually don't get anything done in the design file. They almost like just sit there and like churn in their head all the potentials, and they can't even draw a box without thinking about the reality of the impact of drawing a box like that. It can be crippling to be in that sort of mindset, but it can also be very, very empowering because the things that designer delivers are so fundamentally rooted in reality of what can be delivered that what they deliver can be easily executed. And it can be easily translated to something that a developer can put into code. So what I mean by is I think both those designers should exist on your team. And so this is a struggle I have with the question is, should designers code? I think that, I think you should or can have many of the folks that do design work be on the spectrum between these two polar extremes, and they're healthily participating in your product. That being said, it's also dependent on the person. Can you believe that? Can you believe that humans are all different and that each of us have sort of unique skills and unique things that we're good at, and maybe a prescription that you want to give to one isn't good for another, like learning to code? So maybe evaluate yourself. If you're curious and you're a designer and you're wondering, should I code? Ask yourself, am I interested in the inner workings of how this is? So you can think about it like a car. If you are a car designer and what brings you joy is making the car's vision and painting this potential of the car, then you should stay away from code. You should stay away from putting your hands on the engine and things like that. If you are a designer that spends some time there and some time maybe in prototypes, but other times sitting in cars, feeling the steering wheel or evaluating the impact of your panel that you designed, then I think you should learn to code a little bit, because I think there's going to be advantages in there for you as an interaction designer, as a UX contextual person that wants to think about state and things like that. That learning to code can help you feel empowered, while also it could be a distraction. So this is something that you're going to have to learn about yourself and study and get good at. But learning these things about the platform that you're developing for are not generally bad things for you to be learning. They can only be bad if you find them crippling. If you only find that the things you learn about the platform make you make bad decisions about your design, or they're hurting your freedom and your creativity, and they're dragging you down as a designer, then ditch it. If you're finding that the more you learn about the platform, the more it is empowering you to sort of like express within the platform's constraints, and you're finding the edges of the platform, and you're excited about, hey, did you know there's a state in between the two buttons? When you push it in the car, it can go halfway in and then be pushed all the way in, and it means something different. And then you as the interaction designer can use that platform capability to go enhance the design that you have over here in your design file. So should designers code? No, I think it depends on the designer. I think that some designers who can code are more powerful. I think that some designers who can code are less powerful. I think that this is a difficult thing. And like most skills, the more that you practice it, the more that you're going to appreciate it, and the more you're going to enjoy it. My advice, whether you're a designer or a developer, is follow your passion, follow where you're actually spending your time, and just continue to invest. And if you want to have a skill that you don't have, go invest in it. So water your seeds. If you want to be more of an interaction designer, more of a UX designer, more of, just something that's closer and tighter to the actual product, then go study some code. If you want to be in the vision side of things and you want to be an empowerer of just sort of ideation, then don't learn that. But I'll challenge you to say that, after a couple of years of doing any one of those, and that's the only thing you do, you'll probably want to grow and reach out somewhere. So plant seeds, follow your passion, water those seeds, and follow where they go. Should you learn to code? I don't know. Ask yourself, ask your friends, but be wary. If you are a designer, or just be aware, if you are a designer that wants to learn to code, here's my tip for you. No brain is ready for code. No developer that started coding was good right away. So if you sit down and you're finding code is really frustrating and really weird, you're not alone. Everybody did. And just fight through it. It will become second nature to you. It is like a language that the more you know how to speak it and the more you're practicing it, the more it will become natural and the more you'll enjoy doing it. So have fun out there. Keep making apps. That's sort of like, just like Shop Talk Show says, just keep making websites, keep making apps and stuff. As you churn and as you iterate and as you grow, you'll find more skills that you want, and you'll reach out and just follow those paths wherever they go. Don't feel that you need to be prescribed into one of these two buckets as a designer who codes or a designer who doesn't. That's not you. You are not your tools. You're not your career. You are separate from that, and you can succeed among anywhere in that spectrum. It's all on you. So anyway, I hope this helped bring some clarity for some people, and thanks for listening to me vent about should designers code today. Thanks.